Hello everyone, welcome to the Daily HUD where we give you the latest esports news. I'm Tatum.
And I am not going to talk about Game of Thrones as much as I really want to. In the meanwhile, I'll be dumb. And in our coverage for today, Monday, we're taking a look at the results of the Overwatch League Week 3, the Tekken World Tour mix-up results, a look into the standings of the Duos finale for Week 2 of the Fortnite World Cup, RLCS Week 3, and Rainbow Six Siege EU results. Now, we do still have some more announcements for you. If you want to send us your highlights and bloopers, send them to the link down in the doobly-doo below. That's info@esportschannel.com. In addition, we also have a new Twitch channel where we will be periodically streaming and releasing content, twitch.tv/esports_channel. So with that all said, let's get into it.
All right, let's start guys with one of the biggest events. The Overwatch Week 3 started off big, and last week we stated that this is a crucial time for bottom place teams and the wall they'll have to climb. We also stated that the results of this week will be a prediction for the next coming weeks.
Now, starting off on Thursday, we had the New York Excelsiors versus the Philly Fusion. And as we all know, the Excelsiors are one of the top teams in the league. With the Titans and the Excelsiors being undefeated during this time, every map matters. And with this match against the Fusion, New York had that in their minds. But despite the hard fight, Philadelphia Fusion was able to take off one map. And now, questions for the rest of the week was, what if New York had finally fallen from grace? Can these gods actually bleed? Still though, despite the wound that had been applied to them as of the end of this match, New York ended strong and defeated the Philly Fusion with a 3-1 scoreline.
The next match in day one was the strong San Francisco Shock, and they were looking for their win and the momentum for the rest of the season, guys. They were up against the Toronto Defiant, and the way they performed was, well, exactly how we thought. After the Stage 2 meta change and the roster changes for the Toronto Defiant, they have struggled to gain their breakout success from Stage 1. Their back-to-back losses have them placed out of the current playoff standings. So now in this matchup, we're looking to dethrone and gain a huge momentum spike against the Shocks. Unfortunately for them, they came up short and lost to a 4-0 scoring from good old San Francisco.
Bit of a tragedy in that one. But hey, in our next matchup, we've got our third undefeated team, the Los Angeles Gladiators, taking on Florida Mayhem. Still trying to get those wins. But hey, once Florida sank their teeth into this matchup, are we talking like alligator? Are we talking like crocodile?
Both.
Yeah, well, once they sunk their teeth into this matchup, after these roster changes and rotations, they showed that they've improved at least a little bit and actually surprised everyone with how they held off the Gladiators and showed individual power to the extent and were able to take off a map from the Gladiators. Ultimately though, the Los Angeles Gladiators defeated the Florida Everglades in a 3-1 victory.
That's fine. Still love you, Florida.
Love Los Angeles more.
Okay, whatever. For our final match of day one, we had the Titans of the Overwatch League. The Vancouver Titans take on the Dallas Fuel. While the Titans still look unbeatable, they came out strong onto the Dallas Fuel team. But despite Dallas having a huge surge of momentum since the start of the stage, the Titans kept the match clean and clear and under control, dominating every map they came across in this game. There's really not much to say over this match except that the Titans are still the #1 team in the OWL. And guys, it shows the Titans defeated the Fuel in a 4-0 victory. Come on, that's a landslide.
That's absolutely one. Now, the next day of action in Week 3 was just that, full of action. Again, looking towards those bottom place teams. As we said, this week has got to be a stepping stone for those low place teams. And on this day, we decided to see that the tides can turn at any time. For our first two teams of the day, things were nice and firm for New York Excelsior going into their matchup against the Atlanta Reign. Now, in the matchup of the day, the New York Excelsiors were predicted to take the match in a 1-2 fashion. But what no one predicted was for the Atlanta Reign to bring the fight to New York in a big way. Despite New York taking a map off, Atlanta Reign were able to take all 3 maps and secure the victory. Not only had New York Excelsiors bled earlier in the week, they were actually defeated by Atlanta shortly thereafter.
Ooh, in our second match of Friday, guys, the Philadelphia Fusion Go Philly went head-to-head with the Houston Outlaws, and they were looking to cement themselves as a top-place team. Now, their match with the Outlaws was enough to prove and show that they are the top team. With the loss from New York, it showed that they can bounce back from a huge deficit. Little can be said about the Houston Outlaws, though, because they have been on the wrong side of the yard and have yet to set their footing properly. and are defeated by the Fusion in another 4-0 victory.
Yeah, well, our final match of Friday, we saw the good old-fashioned Los Angeles Valiants taking on the kind of newly improved Washington Justice. Now, as said before, the Los Angeles Valiants had their wings clipped. The only direction that we had hoped they could go was up after their terrible Stage 1 performance. Luckily, though, up is where they went in this matchup. The Valiants actually showed their potential as a team here. With their position in the standings, they still have a long way to go to climb overall, but for this time being, their showing earlier this weekend was a breath of fresh air. Despite the Justice taking a map off, Valiants finally getting another map win, a game win, taking down Washington in a 3-1 victory score.
Now guys, with day 2 of this week under our belts, it was time for the big day. On Saturday, we expected some big matches from, again, the bottom place teams, and what we got was a little more than we expected. To start the big day off, 2 of the Chinese teams went at it, and we expected this to be one of the closest, and guys, we were right. The Charge went on a huge slump with a 23-game losing streak. Good news for them, though, the streak finally died. The question was, can the Charge close it out? The answer to that was, Dom?
Negative, Ghost Rider.
That's a no. The top Chinese team matchup was a close set between both teams, and they ended up with a 3-2 score, with the Sparks taking the victory.
Yes, now for our second match of Saturday, the London Spitfire dropped a new tape that was absolutely hot. They were trying to go hard in the paint in this matchup after their last match win earlier in the week. There's been a lot of talk right now in the OWL about who the number 4 team should be in the standing, and with London Spitfire's hot new take on things, their game against Uprising made their call and claimed that 4th place spot. They seem to know what to do in this new meta based on their showing in that day, and it's pretty clear that the Spitfire are on their way to make a difference heading into playoffs. The final score in this matchup, 4-0 victory for London Spitfire.
The third match of Saturday, the Shanghai Dragons looked to keep their quest to climb up in the standings alive and against the Florida Mayhem, and it looked to be set in stone after the Shanghai Dragons took their first ever win.
Hey.
Go Shanghai Dragons. Their quest to climb has been a rough one, guys, but they're racking up the wins whenever they can, so, you know, go for them. The Shanghai Dragons showed that they're getting better and better as the weeks go by, but there is one small hint of doubt in everyone's mind, and that's their current playoff dreams. Will they die sooner than later, especially with their last match of Stage 2 being the San Francisco Shock? But in this match, they proved that their momentum isn't going away anytime soon. I mean, the Dragons defeated Florida in a 3-1 match.
Yeah, well, that's a bit of a tragedy for both Florida and, again, a tragedy for the Shanghai Dragons. I think it's pretty well understood that everyone would win every match that they can to advance as far as they can into the finals. But hey, Dallas Fuel were up next. They took on Korea's Seoul Dynasty, and in this matchup, we're starting to see some major doubts for the Dallas Fuel. Seoul Dynasty has been a team that's been under the radar for most opponents, but with that being said, Dallas Fuel came in fully confident, and ultimately that led to their downfall, in which their confidence turned into overconfidence and ultimately underestimation towards the Korean Seoul Dynasty team, and they fell like flies. The Seoul Dynasty had their sights set for a playoff spot, and though they're getting there, this matchup, they defeated the Dallas Fuel 4-0 victory towards Seoul Dynasty.
And in the last game of Saturday's matchup, the final Chinese team, the Chengdu Hunters, took the stage to go up against the LA Gladiators. The LA Gladiators, one of the 4 teams still undefeated, looked to keep that run going, and that's exactly what they did. With great individual plays and proper team comps and coordination, there's little to be said, guys, about this match. Also, I mean, the Gladiators are just staying strong. I can't help it. The match ended with a 3-1 victory again to
Los
LA.
Angeles. Okay, so I just want to make sure that this is clear, Tatum. We know Sierra's team is Florida Mayhem.
Yes.
Very clearly Los Angeles, Gladiators and Valiant. So you can kind of take that with what you want. What team have you got so far?
My people know. I'm Cloud9.
Cloud9? Okay.
Yes.
Well, I mean, tragically, there is no Cloud9 in the OWL. We're looking regional teams.
All right. I'm still Cloud9 for whatever.
Okay, there we go for our final day of the action. For the Overwatch League Week 3, we finally got an action-packed finale on Sunday. To start it off, we had the unstoppable Vancouver Titans taking on the Boston Uprising. Ladies and gentlemen, A lot can be said about any matchup involving the Titans. This team is a walking domination machine. So far, no one has really been able to effectively outsmart and take a win off the Titans. Now, a lot of OWL analysts are saying we might not be able to count out any other team when facing the Titans. Maybe they can compete, though it has to be said, the Titans, they put all of those doubts and questions to rest as they defeated Boston in an ever so clean 4-0 victory.
All right, looking back into the next match Shanghai Dragon had yesterday against the Houston Outlaws, and it looks like things will look up to the Dragons. In this match, the playoff dream seems like a wish that might come true, but it wasn't the perfect win in this match for the Dragons, but a win nonetheless. The Houston Outlaws are now questioning their play style and roster and are now looking for a possible potential change in their lineup. But for the Dragons, it seems the stars are shining on them because they racked up another win, defeating the Outlaws in a 3-0 score.
Yeah, and it is so important for the Shanghai Dragons to get these wins because remember, as we get closer towards the end of Stage 2, their final match is going to be against the San Francisco Shock, and they're still looking really strong. And speaking of the Shock, our next matchup saw the Shock go up against their smaller Chinese rivals in the Hangzhou Sparks. What would you rather see, the Shocks or the Sparks? If you had to be hit by one of the two.
Shocks.
Shocks? Yeah, well, they're still doing good. This matchup was a record-breaking one with the San Francisco Shock still looking to achieve the all-time consecutive map win streak record. They only needed 3 maps in a row to do it. And like the Titans, there are little to no words that can describe their domination. Everyone who watches the OWL are already anticipating a Stage 2 playoff rematch between the San Francisco Shock and the Vancouver Titans. But for now, the Shock were able to defeat the Sparks in a 4-0 victory and achieve that 20 consecutive map win streak record.
For our final match for Sunday in our coverage, the Atlanta Reign were set to face off against the Guangzhou Charge.
Yeah, right on.
Oh yeah. The Atlanta Reign, they were looking to keep their playoff dreams until they came to a brick wall in the form of a Charge. Atlanta Reign, they were able to tie their set to a 1-1 score, but after that it was all downhill from there, guys. Well, this is what happened. The entire set was able to walk away with the final win of this week, and they defeated the Reign with a 3-1 victory.
As it is, that's a lot of Overwatch, but we've still got some more.
Yes, the Overwatch League will return later this week. With a twist though, week 4 will be hosted by the Dallas Fuel at the Allen Event Center in North Texas, labeled the Dallas Fuel Homestand. I can't wait to see the new venue for this. You're from Dallas, right?
I am. I actually spent 12 years, what is it, from the 10 years, second grade till my senior year of high school in DFW, Texas.
And you turned out fine.
Well, let's not go that far. But hey, we'll have to see how the Allen Event Center is going to work out. I'm excited to see this week's action, but hey, let's get into our fighting games up next. Tekken 7. This weekend we finally got our first stop in the Tekken World Tour Series, landing in Lyon, France, at the MIXUP event, with over 200 participants narrowing down to the top 48, the top 8, and finally the top 2 in the grand finals. Now, the 2 final players that made it into the finals were Super Akuma from France and Cherry Berry Mango.
Sounds delicious.
From Korea. Anyways, now for Super Akuma, it was a double climb for this guy. He was sent to the losers bracket in the winners final, where he defeated his opponents to meet Cherry Berry Mango once again in the grand finals. But the fight didn't stop there. Akuma had to reset the bracket and win both sets in order to win the championship. Now, in the leading matches before the reset, Akuma was dominant and was able to take that 3-0 bracket reset after dropping earlier. With the grand finals all reset, it came down to one single best of 5, and with momentum spiking high, Akuma kept that momentum throughout the next set. And though Cherry Berry Mango wasn't counted out by taking his own game, ultimately though, it wasn't enough. Super Akuma was able to take down Cherry Berry Mango's Jin and walk away with the championship and head one step closer into the Masters tier in the World Tour.
Congratulations to Super Akuma, and as I say, Akuma Matata, and hopefully we'll see him at the grand finals in Bangkok, Thailand.
Yep.
For all you Fortnite lovers out there who are looking into the competitive scene, the Fortnite World Cup started their week 2 this past Saturday with their duo semis and finals. The results for the NA East and the NA West have been finalized for this week, In the NA East, we had 3 qualifying duels who are already taking up $5,000 worth of prize money. That's what's up. In first place, we got the duo of Wolfgame Crims and OT Spades. Then under them, it's MSF Clicks and MSF Septic. And in third place, tying with the second place team, Envy Lenane and Tyler 15 are all qualified for the World Cup finals. Congratulations, guys, and best of luck from here on out. We got only one qualifier in the DUP matchup. Duos,
Yeah.
thank you. This team scored 99 points and are taking a hefty $3,250 in cash prize for their qualifications.
Yeah.
Now the team of, help me out here,
Our Kramix.
and Bloom Falconer have qualified for the finals. So congratulations, and we hope to see you there.
And there is a lot of conversation right now about the Fortnite World Cup. Just 2 days ago, we did see Epic Games say a big post saying, hey, we're working to investigate cheating that's going on in the World Cup online opens. Apparently 1,200 players received bans as a result of week 1's cheating. Now, the big concern though is that it took a week to turn around all of these bans. And if they're a week behind, well, what if one of those 1,200 had gotten in to the World Cup?
Yep.
It's already been said that a
behind.
handful of players have had to forfeit some of their prize money and have been pulled out of the standings due to teaming, hacking, doing whatever they can to try and effectively cheat and game the system, even using region hopping to compete in multiple regions at once. So we've got to kind of wonder, how can Epic Games get on top of this,
Right.
as there are still 8 weeks to go, each with $1 million on the line? Ultimately, it is their money, and they can do whatever they want with it. But if you're competing in Fortnite, you kind of want that integrity in the game to be standing. But hey, there's still a lot more going on. We've got ourselves our next coverage, the Rocket League Championship Series. There are a lot of games in this, but we're going to take a look at some of the 4 major ones that we had our eyes on. Energy versus Samsung, Splice versus Road, Cloud9 versus Evil Geniuses, and G2 Esports versus Ghost Gaming. Let's start off with the major giant one, which is Energy Esports and Space Station Gaming. Now, coming into this match, none of these teams were in negative scoring. They were either in positive or sort of neutral points overall. In the match between the strongest 2 teams, we saw Energy coming in undefeated and looking for their 4th consecutive win, and Space Station Gaming looking to try and climb towards a more positive standpoint. But Energy Esports were not going to let go of their win streak that easily, and that's what they didn't do in this series, keeping their grip tight on that win streak, managing to take the series 3-0 and defeating Space Station Gaming.
Our next match in the RLCS will take us to Splice versus Rogue. Both teams were close in the standings. Splice and Rogue were about equal in the standings, but it was Rogue who came into this matchup in a 0-3 score, with Splice at 1-3. They were desperately trying to get on the board, and fortunate for them, it did work out. With quick play and team coordination, they were able to take off 3 wins without dropping a single game. The final score was a 3-0 victory against Splice Gaming.
Now, our next matchup is with some teams that I'm excited for, and I think you're probably excited for as well. Cloud9 against opponents Evil Geniuses. Cloud9 were the heavy favorites coming into this matchup and were considered to be one of the most dominant teams in the league. Things were looking pretty grim for EG, but they were able to rally up and bring the fight to Cloud9. Their efforts did bring out a hint of hope for the team overall, as they were able to get a game off of Cloud9, but that was just it. Cloud9 stomped the series, defeating Evil Geniuses and moving up towards a 4-1 in the standings. Cloud9 finally have shown, much like some of our other teams, that they can bleed, they can drop games, but they are still looking so dominant.
Yeah, Cloud9's super solid. All right, for our last match of the day, in RLCS, G2 took on Ghost Gaming, and the results were, well, just as expected. G2 Esports is the 3rd and consecutive team to hold an undefeated streak, but Ghost, on the other hand, was a losing streak that reaches far beyond the other teams we've ever seen. G2 coming into this matchup was just dominant right out of the gate. There isn't much to say over the series other than G2 defeated Ghost Gaming in a 3-0 set and moving to a 4-0 score and sending Ghost to their 4th consecutive loss. Ghost, you've been ghosted.
Yeah, a bit of a tragedy there, but hey, I'm sure Ocelot is proud over his team staying strong, but now we've got to move on towards our final coverage of the day. That's the Rainbow Six Siege European League. Now, Rainbow Six is almost at its end for the regular season. We've got 2 more weeks to go for EU, 1 more for North America. It's the end of these seasons. We've got 3 matches to cover from Friday's lineup. For our first match of the day, Team Empire and Listerine Esports had a score to settle after their first round-robin match. Now, the last time these two teams fought was in Week 6, with Team Empire taking the win from Listerine. Now, Listerine finally got the chance to even the score and take it back and try to reclaim this match against Empire, and turns out that's what they did. At first, the series looked to be an even fight, but Listerine was able to slowly bring control back towards their own side. Team Empire were able to keep the games even until they went up to about 4 rounds, but Listerine finally took the winning Game 7. The final score, 7-4, Listerine taking the set and evening up 1-1 against Empire.
Our second match of the day is Team Secret versus Team Navi. Like the other 2 teams, the last team faced off was in Week 6, guys. These 2 teams faced off in the Clubhouse map. Team Secret was the favorite in this matchup, but Team Navi had a little secret hidden under. The series was a close one in terms of scoring, but it was obvious Team Navi broke all expectations in this match and threw all doubts out the window. Team Navi defeated Team Secret 4-7.
Now for our final match of our coverage today, G2 Esports coming back at us in Rainbow Six. Team Chaos looked towards their regular season to hopefully end with a win, taking off the current MSI champions. Little did they know, G2 was prepared for their all-out attack. Even though Chaos were able to bring the fight, G2 tipped the scales into their favor and officially ended the series with a 7-5 scoreline.
Whew, guys, that's a lot of games.
Yep.
And it's only Monday. I'm already exhausted from all the action. That's it for today's coverage of the Daily HUD. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for the latest update in esports. Once again, guys, I'm Tatum.
And can I finally talk about Game of Thrones now?
No.
I'm Dom, and on behalf of myself and the entire esports channel, we wish you so much luck. Thank you so much for watching. Good night. GG. Can I talk about it now?
Okay.
So there was the thing
Stop.
that